Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to be doing is showing how to recover a dropped MySQL database. And the reason why I've ended up doing this video is simply because it happened to me in the past where I actually needed to have this something like this done. And of course, just like with any other problem, the first thing you do is to go to go to a search engine and then type the old classic, which is MySQL. Well, you see, it's remembered it anyway. Recover dropped database, and of course, this one comes right at the top. And look what it says. The first thing it says is right-click server connection and select backup restore database. And then you have to select the backup file. Well, I didn't have a backup file, so let's keep going. Now, here's the thing: is you've got Stack Exchange, which is supposed to be the fabled Stack Exchange, where you're supposed to get answers to all your questions. So let's check to see if any of these are any good. That's in DBA Stack Exchange, and even that Stack Overflow as well, even though this is for programming. So let's just take the top ones and we'll just have a quick look. So let's see. The first one, is there a way to recover a dropped MySQL database? And what do they say? There's a high chance, and this has got 19, and it says, what? Okay, TwinDB data recovery toolkit, and you have to do some complicated. I don't know what this is about. This looks mad to me. And the thing is, I actually went. This is the first thing I did as well, was to go through and try and see if anyone else had done it. So, as you can see, this first one's a waste of time. So let's try the next one. So, drop database recovery. And this is the answer, and it says you get the Percona Data Recovery Toolkit, and it says undeleting. No, see, this is like some high difficult stuff, so you ain't gonna bother with that. Let's see, and I'm sorry to say, but you just learned why backups are important. Yeah, but I didn't have a backup. That's the problem. So this answer is no good for me. And how do I restore from a drop database? Come on. Oh, see, this is the one I wanted, using a MySQL binary log. So let's see, maybe these guys will give you the answer. And what does it say? How one determines which binlogs to use are unclear. It says recovery from backups. Yeah, but that's not, a binlog is not a backup. That's the thing. As it says, there is nothing better than having full file system backups. Yeah, you can do that, but what if it's a machine you don't really care too much about? And it says if you don't have a backup of the database, you're out of luck. So this guy is saying that I'd have been out of luck. And now this guy is trying. So he's saying you do MySQL binlog. But this is wrong, because you'll see what I mean anyway. Because if you do this doesn't work, and there's an obvious, like he says here, the drop database statement. So you're wasting your time trying to do it this way. And so no backup, no party. That's not true. So like I say, well, rather than wasting time going through the rest of these, let's just get on with the business. So now I've got this this site I've set up. It's just a Drupal site. This is just the like the test site, and I'll put a few pages on it as well. So there's a few on here. So this is the data that's in the database at the moment. And if I go onto the machine where it was just a virtual machine, have a look at what we have. Right, so as you can see, we've got a few databases. These are just databases I've added. And as you can see here, we've got a good old MySQL binary log files. There's So I made sure they were turned on, and I'll just show you how that happens. So if you do cat t3, alright, so you just have to make sure that this line, all you need is just this line, just one line. Don't even need the MySQL-bin, but if you don't give it a name, it will use some weird host name instead for the name of the file, so I prefer to just give it something basic, so it's easy to identify. And the reason why I put all these databases in is because I put some databases on there, then I put in the Drupal site, and then I put some other databases. So essentially, the binlog contains the first databases, the Drupal site, and then a few other databases afterwards. Because you might as well make it difficult just to show exactly how you have to do this. Because when it's like this, if it's just one database, what the other guy said to do with the, even though his command line was bad, it would kind of have worked. So let's just get on with this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute the old classic command. So it's MySQL admin drop and then Drupal. And so say this is just some guys got into, obviously if someone gets in as root, they just delete all the files, so then you do need a backup. But this is for if someone gets in as the Apache user, into your PHP application, because in there they can drop they can delete all the tables or drop the database. And yes, so alright, so I press return on that, and of course it says, do you really want to drop the Drupal database? And as it says here, dropping the database is potentially a very bad thing to do. So obviously. So we do yes, and then press return. And the database is gone. So if we have a look in there, and the thing is, like these other guys were saying, now that Drupal's disappeared from here, there is no easy way to get it back. Not really. So if you go to the website now and try to refresh it, it just goes back to the installation page because of course the database has disappeared. So what we do next is so it's installation page. So essentially database is just gone completely. And so now this is the point at which you'd panic, but you'd be surprised at how easy things actually are, and I was surprised as well. So what you do is here's what I do is I'll get the command. You'll see the command in the description. But what I'm basically after is so this is the command, and so what we're trying to do is to dump the get that Drupal database out of the binlog. But here's the thing, at the moment this binlog, yes, when you look at the command here, so you can see the good thing about this MySQL binlog command is you can specify the database name. And so even though I've got all these other databases in here, I can specify the exact database I'm after. So of course the command will go through and only bring out the statements for that particular database. So now for this is the magic, and this I had to scratch my head looking at the documentation to work this command out. And this is the big one, which makes all the difference in the world. And there's something I'd better, what I'd better do is I better run screen, because there's a reason why. Because I need to be able to see two of them. Right, so because here's the important bit, is that we have this, let me just do this. And this looks easy, but this took me ages to work out, because I had to sit there looking at the documentation and I was trying to work out what they were talking about. So I literally had to read through all of it where they explain what the binary log is and what the binlog program does. And once I worked all that out, that's when I understood what they was trying to say. And the next challenge, of course, is getting this format, because you have to get this format exactly right. So now what we're going to do is alright, so those are our binlog files. So what essentially this is doing is going to read through the binlogs, and it's going to get, when the database was created, all the transactions for the files put into it, the data put into it, and then it's also going to read the drop statement as well. So of course, if you don't have this, tell it when to stop, it's going to be a complete waste of time. So what you have to do is you have to be a bit clever now, and you have to go to, where is it? You've got to go to the logs for the web server, and you've got to try and work out when was the last time it was actually working, because that's what you want the stop time to be. So if we just cap the access log. So yeah, so you see it's got install PHP here, and that is at, what is it, 2254. So yeah, it's getting a bit late, but this shouldn't take long, so I'm going to get this out of the way. And so 2254 is when the install page was coming up, so now we just need to find, alright, yeah, see the last time, that's modules. So this was the last time when I accessed it, was 2254. So there's going to be an earlier time where right, so here we go. So now this is the last time when I got into it and it was working, and this was at 2130. So this is what I need. So I need this date and this time. So now if I go back to, right, let's get another screen. So we keep that. So what we want is the 5th of April 2023. Check this out. So 2023. So it's April and the 5th. So 5th of April 2023. That's a lot. So that's the last time we know it was what the site was working. And the time is important as well, obviously, because the drop happened after 10 o'clock. So this is 21:30, and who cares about the second? So we want 21. Because also you want to get the database as close to when it was dropped as you can, so you don't lose too many transactions. So yeah, just leave it at that. So now let's see what happens. So what it's going to do is going to read the binlog file, and it's going to read it all the way and then stop here, and it's going to read from the database Drupal, and it's going to spit it out to this binlog.sql. So I'm going to press return. And of course right, so that binlog command is finished, and it's obviously complained about something. I'm not sure what it means. If you have a look at what we got, so the binlog file is pretty big. So obviously the database is not, the database isn't this big, because this is just all the transactions that happens. So it's a 1.8 gig file. Right, so now we have so what we now have to do is just, you can see if it will create, because I think because I started from the beginning, it will include the create database for Drupal. So let's see, what will happen is, if it doesn't include it, you just get an error saying database not found. Right, so we're going to create Drupal, and then we're going to put in that binlog file. Let's see what happens. You press return. Oh, so it does create the database. So yeah, let's just drop it in. Alright, so Drupal's dropped, so let's just run this binlog back in. Let's see what happens if you see if it crashes the server. Okay, so that's taken a while, because notice that it read through the binlogs really quick, but because the that dump file is so big, and that's the other thing you have to watch out for, is that if you've got a big database, because this database is a few hundred megabytes, so the fact it's a few hundred megabytes, and it's a few hundred megabytes, and yeah, I think the reason why it's so big is because it looks as if it read all of the binlog into this SQL dump. Well, not really, but obviously these GTIDs that it was talking about, they take up a lot of space. Or did I say that right? Yeah, GTIDs. So what you'd have to do is go through the log and see what these IDs are, and then filter them out, because that should make the binlog file a lot smaller. Because obviously if your database is huge, it's going to take a long time to pull it back in. And this is the other thing, is that if your database is really old, this is the thing. This method obviously has disadvantages in that if the database is really huge and it's really old, then the binlogs, when you scrape through it, it's going to be now actually I just realized that if you've got an old database, you would have had it backed up at some stage. So if it's an old database, you're going to have to get the backup, put the old database in, and then run this command on the binlog, but then use a start date as well. And then make sure that your start date is before the last backup. And then your end date is before the drop statement. And then, of course, you filter all the GTIDs, and then you should end up with a smaller SQL file. Not this one, which takes forever, because when I had to do it myself, it was a really small file. It was something like, I think, about 5 megabytes. So, but I wanted to make sure this database was pretty big, because I wanted to see if it would still work even on a bigger one. And it seems like that is the disadvantage. So, yeah, so if the database is tiny, like a 10 megabyte database, definitely this is the way to do it. But if it's huge and it's old, then you're going to be waiting a bit of time. But if the time it takes because scraping the binlog is fast, that's the good thing about it, and you don't have to take down the server. But I think the reason why it's so slow is just some settings that I should have probably turned on. Okay, so I finished without errors, which is impressive, because normally any little error. So now let's see what happens. Go back to the old site and let's see, just press return and the site's back. Look at that. So there you have it. That is how you recover a dropped MySQL database. And all this Stack Overflow, Stack Exchange nonsense, it's a waste of time. Go away. And here's the thing about it, is that when you go to because I just want to get this one MySQL Stack. There's this guy on there. Let me see if I can find it. It's Rolando. Just want to see if he shows up. Oh, where is he? He's not there. If you can find him. Let's see if we can. Yeah, and the thing, well, yeah, see, this is what I would have needed. And see, the only reason I'm going is because you see, he's only got 2 golds here. No, here we go. See, if you check him out, this guy's a top geezer, and look, he's got 178,000 somethings. He's got 32 golds, but actually, he's only got 32 golds there. But if you look here. Oh no, it's still 32 goals, but there's another one where he's got more, if I remember, somewhere. Stupid user. Alright, he's only got 1 goal here. I'm sure there's somewhere where he's got more, but I don't know. But anyway, when I had my problem and dropped that database, I came on here because I've seen him reply to a lot of these MySQL, and he's got all the different things. So he seems to be to have all the things to tell you or what to do to help. But when it came to the drop database, he was nowhere to be found. And so he's supposed to be like the top geezer, even calling himself MySQL DBA. And yet, when it comes to the worst thing ever, a drop database, he seems to have no information for how to do it. But just showing this just to show you that, well, you don't have to worry about Rolando, because now you know how to do it, and it's actually pretty straightforward. It doesn't even take that long as your database isn't old and huge, and he doesn't have to scrape through too much of these MySQL bin logs.